Welcome to Leave It Better. My dad says every person we meet leaves a mark on our lives, and every choice we make can leave a mark on the world. This is a space for hope, for love, and for stories that remind us we are all connected. So take a deep breath and let's leave it better together.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to Leave It Better podcast. I am your host, Dwain Daniels. And today I have a very special guest. I mean, all my guests are special, but this one is
Wow,
extra,
this is rough.
this is extra special. It is my little brother. He is a poet. He is a retired rapper that I try to bring out of retirement every now and then.
Sure.
He's a storyteller. He is a father. He is a friend. He is my brother. He is also an author. Did you know? Did you see? Like, yeah, he is an author. My brother is an author. So go pick up the book. Yes, I'm plugging him. Yes, that's what's going on. Right. But no, other than that, he's a phenomenal human being. And he always leaves spaces better. And I said, what better way to, what better person than to have on the show than, my brother who's done so many great things. Joél Leon Daniels, welcome. Yes, sir. And just so you guys know, this interview is probably going to be different than all the other ones because of our relationship. So there's probably going to be some jokes. There's going to be some, just good times. But ultimately, I want you guys, if you have not met him, I wanted you to know what he's doing, how he's affecting lives, through his writing, through his storytelling, and let's get into it, man. So, so just kind of talk about what you do now. Like, let the people know who you are. I give people, like, obviously a brief introduction of the stuff that you've done, but just, give me some more info on that.
I mean, that's an interesting question. I'll be honest, it's a thing that I'm processing of like who I am now, at 42. There's so much that I'm asking myself about, like, who do I want to be? What do I want to do? What does legacy look like, especially
Right.
for the girls, right? As a girl dad in this world. I don't know. I'm working on a novel. There's like things that I'm doing, right? Like there's things that I'm doing. And so the question I've been asking myself lately is like, how much more intentional can I be with my practice and the work, right? And so I am a writer, I am an author, right? Like, I'm a community builder. I think that's probably the thing that feels the most resonant for me right now. Like IRL, in real life connections, experiences. Like yesterday morning I was at Bronx Works, which is a supportive housing program. So for folks who are recently unhoused or coming home from incarceration or like suffering from addiction. And supportive housing, the social workers as caseworkers in the building. I have a relationship with the director of the building from the days when I used to perform with the Melting Pot in the band. And he had reached out to me about coming to the housing complex for a panel conversation, so censoring the book. And then when I went, there were a couple of folks there who were like, "Oh, when you used to rap, or I rap, or I do poetry, or whatever." And I was like, "Yo, it'd be really cool. Why not just let's do like a workshop? Let's have folks bring in the things that they're working on, and we can just workshop them together. Like less open mic and more community art practice." And so that happened yesterday morning. So ideally that's going to happen like every month. And that's the thing that's not like, it doesn't have any fanfare connected to it. It's really, I want to get to the root of the work of like, how do we liberate ourselves and our people? And some of that is through art. Some of that is through protest. Some of that is, whatever the case might be. And so that's the space right now, like, well, what do I need to do to get us wherever? And, I'm not doing that alone. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, even you start this podcast to me is so inspiring because I think that's the work. It's us tapping into the things that matter to us. And I think that unlocks something for like future generations, hopefully. But I think that's where I'm at right now.
No, that's dope, man. So I think when did that transition happen for you? Like, when did you like feel the pull to dive more into that? Because I think now I'm at 50 years old, right? At 42, I think, which is weird, I get it in a sense. I think I was still figuring it out too. Like, I just didn't know. Even at 30, like everybody's supposed to say, like, at 30, you're supposed to have it all together. And it's like, Nah, I didn't have it all together yet. No, I'm 42. I
Yeah,
didn't have it all together yet either. I just didn't
yeah,
know what
yeah.
direction I wanted to go. In my life. So when did that kind of switch for you?
It's a good question, D. And I feel like this question might have popped up in a different way at some point in time recently. I mean, because you know me, you know what I'm saying? Like, I always knew I was making art. Like, there was never going to
Yeah.
be a question about that. I think it becoming a thing really didn't take off until that moment in the room you saw me rap. Because then it was like, it was everything else was kind of, the truth had been essentially let out. Like I had been doing it in the privacy of our room and mommy's room and here in like in the hallways once in a while, but like it was primarily like a me practice. Well, that was the art practice. I think if I'm being honest, I want to say Ferguson in 2014 is normally the precipice for me because that's kind of when I stopped making music. It
Mhm.
wasn't like I stopped making music, but I realized there was a shift happening
Right.
because what I wanted to do with the language I didn't feel like I could do with rap. And that's why I started
Mhm.
writing essays because it was easier for me to translate what I was seeing, the Black Death I was seeing, and then trying to make sense of it all. And it was harder to do that in 16 bars.
Yeah.
Look, like it felt so limiting. And I mean, granted, I look at a person like a Kendrick, like he's broken that box. Like
Right.
there's a gift he has that I'm like, I wish, but I knew I was like, okay, well, if I can't get it out this way, and especially because, it wasn't like I had access to the studio. It wasn't like I
Mhm.
could all those things, and the climate of the industry, the music industry had shifted so much. So it wasn't like just me going to S dot to
Yeah.
our engineer at the time and going to record something. Like that wasn't even available anymore. Stage became the easiest lift opportunity for me to just process my feelings. And
Mhm.
then 2015 comes around, I drop songs to Charles, find out that Lila is coming, and then
Mhm.
it really gets intense. But that was more for me figuring out like the medium, the approach. And then I think, well, I'm trying to process what you're asking me. I think the pandemic shifted a lot.
Mhm.
I think,
Okay.
and because I've been, I've been in therapy, I've been reading the books, I've been trying to figure out the language, you know what I'm saying? I had just gotten out of this long-term relationship with Tiff, and it was just like when I just had, but like there was all these things that were like I think had built up, and then the pandemic happened, and because those things had built up, I've been processing, sifting through those things, and I had language for it, and that was grief, and I don't think a lot of us had the language for grief and transition. I think even now, I still see people think of grief through the lens of like death, right? Like we're burying someone,
Yeah.
we're losing someone. And in 2020, for me, it was very clear, like the grief of Lila moving to Houston, grief of my job, the world, the separation, the distance, that moment in time when mommy got sick and we were like
Mhm.
really worried about like, yo, what's going on? And so I had language, and I think a lot of people didn't. And so that kind of started shifting because I needed an outlet. And also I started to see people were gravitating to the language in a different way. My platform started growing. The more I
Mhm.
was vulnerable, the more I spoke to what I was seeing happening from a spiritual level and a soul level and being able to communicate that. And then it continues to just expand, with Trump becoming president, me recognizing, I mean, the genocide in Palestine, the genocides in Sudan and Congo, I think I've always felt called for justice and social justice in that way, but I think come even more paramount as the world has gotten darker.
Yeah.
It's kind of forced me to dig deeper into my practice, in that way.
Yeah. No, and yeah, the world has gotten darker. So, for someone that has done the work, like, can you share with people what is your process for grief, like in the way you described it, right? Because I
Mm,
think you are
yeah.
correct. There are a lot of, I don't want to just say black men because, black men do carry a big burden, but I think men in general,
Yeah.
we carry
Yeah.
a lot of grief and we don't know how to unpack a lot of those things. So what is your process for unpacking that stuff?
Oh, so you talking about this is good, some good. You a professional, brother? You
I just do this on the side, brother.
you know what I mean? Journalist. Um, curiosity.
Mm,
Curiosity, man. It's like just asking more questions. We look at our children, man, and they're just such curious beings.
yeah.
Like all of them. You
Hmm.
know, Mari, Wes. You know what I'm saying? Isaiah, Justin, Lila. Like there's a hunger, and and it starts early. Like we all had curious natures, and
Yeah.
then you become an adult, and it kind of gets tapped out of you. Yeah, because capitalism and all the other things. And so I just ask myself questions, man, of like, what is this? What am I feeling? And
Yeah.
correlating to what I'm feeling in my body. My body will normally know first. So like, even as an example, like I have sciatica, and it flares up the more stressed I am. I can see it, and so went out for drinks with a friend of mine. She was flying out. She actually flew out to Singapore today because she got a part for a rendition of Wicked out there,
Oh,
right? And so
dope.
she's super anxious, super nervous. But all that to say, like, I wound up walking with her to one destination because she had to pick up some stuff, and then walking her home, and then subsequently walking home from there. And my back started like,
Mm,
I hadn't had a flare up that bad in like probably over a year. And like, it's been the past couple of weeks have just been challenging. I think, struggling writing the novel and trying to make sense of the world, make sense of my presence on social media because I'm so
mm,
shadow banned. Is like, does it even make sense in me to post? Is it even doing anything?
right.
Um, and so I think part of what I realized was like I started walking home, and I fixed for whatever reason, I was trying to figure out different ways while I was walking to help my
Yeah.
back. And then I just fixed my posture, and it changed. Everything changed. And what I realized was, and again, connecting it back to the body, I had to go through some level of pain to understand the other side, right? Like to
Right.
see the other side of whatever liberation was going to look like. I wouldn't have fixed my posture, I don't think, if I hadn't been walking. Right. And so, like, it makes me think about the journey. And so much of that is connected to like how we're feeling about a thing and asking ourselves and really going below the surface, right? Like, it doesn't stop at like sad, mad, angry. It's the why do I feel sad? Why do I feel
Yeah.
angry? Why do I feel grief? Putting it down on paper. Really getting granular with the things that we're feeling and processing them in a real way. And the only real way to do that is to put it down on a page sometimes,
Mm,
or like talk to trusted friends about it. But like, having to also break us out of this box of grief being in this 2D conversation. It's the end of a job. It's the end of a friendship, the loss of a friendship, you know, um, it's, I remember really quickly, I remember a conversation we had on the phone, and I bring this up often to other people. Um, you had mentioned because I was telling you about Lila having to switch schools so many times, and you
mm.
had told me about you being in the shelter after dad burnt the house down and having to say bye to your friends. And
Yeah.
I was like, yo, I'd never heard you share that story before. And to me, it made me feel really sad because that was, I wasn't alive at the time, but I can imagine how difficult of a moment that was for you. And
Yeah.
so when I think about grief, I think about the echo of it. It's like there's so many layers to that you would have to process. Use you as an example, but like
No, it's fine.
there's right, there's the relationship with dad, there's
Mhm.
the losing of like security, safety, there's the having to go into an unknown space, a shelter at that,
Mhm.
then building relationships, saying bye to those relationships. There's a lot of grief in that. And I think for us, generally speaking, we'll just look at grief in this very one dimensional way of like, oh man, my girl broke up or my grandma passed away. And it's like,
Mhm.
nah, man, the endings and beginnings of all things. There's so much grief to process. We just have to get curious about what it is, because then that opens up a whole new way for us to be present.
Yeah. No, that's super important, and sometimes I forget that you were not like because we were always so intertwined. Like I always just feel
Right.
like you were there, right? But
Yeah.
you weren't,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
but you're right. It was me dealing with that. And he burned down my Spider-Man record player, man. I had a dope.
Yeah, the Rod Stewart. That was
Dope,
Rod Stewart
man.
record.
I was like, what? Oh,
Not the house.
like
Where's
I
my
would come
record
home,
player?
yeah, man, come home from school, and it was just like everything was just it was done. And then we moved to the shelter on Fox Street, and we were there for a while. And again, it was making new relationships. I got cool with some. We had to pick up again, right, and leave, right.
That's
We came to
good.
Preston, but Preston was the best thing, one of the best things ever happened to me. Like that at the end, like you said, maybe going through some of that pain, it brought me to where I am today. Like just learning, to process things, the people that I met along the way, the people that are
That
still my brothers today. Like
I mean, it's fun. I'm so glad we're having this conversation because I never thought about that until you just said it. Like, there's so much that happened on Creston that would not have been possible had Dad not,
Right.
you know what I'm saying?
Like,
Like,
thanks for burning down the house.
yeah, like, but if we're getting to like this, like, if we're analyzing it, it's like, some things got to burn, man,
Yeah.
in order for some new stuff to be reborn,
Yeah.
right? And so that to me is just super interesting to think about because yeah, bro, like that's Rich, that's Elvis, that's
Yeah.
Selwyn, that's
Yeah.
PS33, that's
Yep.
IS-115, that's all of these things. That's Jerry, you know what I'm saying? That's Miguel, that's
Yeah.
Larry. There's like a whole
Yeah, man.
Bula, Biggs, like there's a whole network of a thing that doesn't happen. And it would happen in a different way. It would
Different
have been
way.
different people.
Yeah.
But Creston, bruh, like, yeah, that's really interesting to think about.
Yeah, it's a melting pot for us, man. It was
Yeah,
a beautiful, beautiful place to live. Amongst the chaos, right? There was chaos,
yeah,
but there was so much beauty in how we live.
yeah, yeah,
So, and yeah, it definitely shaped me. And then even Dad, like just kind of going back to like really learning like who he was, right? And the things that
yeah,
made him who he was and the trauma that he dealt with. And it just it's hard, man. Like you think about that, like, and I was
yeah,
hard on him for a while because of, a lot of things. But
yeah,
when I got to learn him and who he was, like my appreciation for him now,
yeah,
after death is so much higher, because of
yeah,
what he dealt with, how he dealt with it. Um,
yeah,
and then knowing how his father was and how he had to process that situation.
yeah.
And I carry that weight of,
Hmm.
being the brother that does, everything, and then carrying that weight on to Vietnam, then coming back as a black man and being shunned, not having a job, no mental health, like,
Yeah,
and it's like you're walking with a duffel bag and no one's taking anything out.
yeah, with a
They
punch,
just
yeah,
throw, they just
punch
keep
out.
throwing, and they're like, "Yo, keep on
Yeah,
walking. You got it. Yeah, you got it." And
yeah,
you're like, "No,
yeah,
I ain't got it." Right? So you start looking for other
yeah.
things to help cope and process,
Hmm.
right? When you don't have the tools, like you mentioned earlier, right? So
Yeah,
that's why I wanted you to speak on that, because you're also dealing with a lot of stuff, right? Like,
yeah, yeah,
and I know as your brother, because we are people that, I think not for some reason, I know why, they gravitate to talk to us and say, "Hey, let me
yeah.
give you my problems. And let me give these to you." Okay, sure. Yeah, right.
Hold this, brother.
hold these problems, right? But we want to, because we care so
Yeah.
much, and we want to show up for people and help people. So I just want to make sure you're also unpacking, like, because I think about that, and you guys are, I think, very, very similar. Like when it comes to reading, the writing, like how you walk, obviously how you look, you're very, very similar. So I just want to make sure you're also unpacking your stuff too, which you are.
Well, I mean, and I love you, bro. And it's like, it's somebody said something, and I meant to share it with you too, because they had lost their father, and they had
Mm,
mentioned like it was easier to be with him in death than in
mm,
life, and it's something I so relate to. You know what I'm saying? Because like, man, I don't regret the decision I made of not going to the funeral. I don't like how it made you feel.
mhm.
Like that to me is the most important part. But bro, like it was because like I think mom misunderstood because I think mom thought it was like me avoiding something, and it's
Right.
like when I wrote my op-ed piece for the Times about Black mortality after Dad had passed, but I was working on a chapter of the book dedicated to Dad
Mm,
before I written the essay, and then Ablo passed away, and someone was supposed to write this piece on Black mortality, but then they just disappeared.
oh,
And
shoot.
so the culture team at the New York Times reached out to me and was like, "Hey, can you write this thing?" And I was like, "I've kind of been writing a thing that correlates to this already."
Right.
But so much of that was because I had forgiven Dad. I think Songs for Charles was because that for me was like an open-ended letter
Yeah.
of
Yeah.
forgiveness, because
Mhm.
also too, the context of our relationship was so different. Like when like
Mhm.
between like you and I and like the relationship you shared because you had so much more time with him. And I think when I got older, I realized how much harder it was for you, like, cause it was hard for me, but it's a different kind of hard, And so for me, there was a lot of anger, and then I realized that anger was easily transferable to like just bits of rage. Like, I think about even when I was younger, and I see some of that in West. I think Bria has more of that has been passing in the West. She'll be mad at me. I think she can acknowledge that. Like, I would throw controllers and
Yeah,
shit
yeah,
like that and just
yeah.
be dude, I didn't know how to process rage. Like, I would
Mhm.
just be mad. Like, I remember punching a door when, like, Kim and I first broke up, and I remember, like, me and Dadiana, Lala's mom, getting into this big old argument, and me, like, punching a wall. Like, it
Yeah.
was just I needed a way to process the anger, and the art became that. But I think when Dad passed, and as Dad got older, and especially when we went to go see him, you and me
Mhm.
and Taj,
Yeah.
that was the gift for me.
Yeah, it
That
was.
was
It was.
being able to see him in that way and go, man, like, how did he get this far? And it goes back to everything you said, bro. Like, he was dealt an unfair hand. And so I really do feel like we are living for ourselves, but living for and for him, and he's living through us in that way.
No,
You know?
I totally
So
agree.
yeah, there's like a tenderness now
Yeah.
that I have for him. And I feel like I see him in
Yeah,
certain ways. You know what I'm saying?
yeah.
Like, I don't know if I told you there was like I can't remember, but like the free bird razor, right?
Mhm.
I had the original one that I bought, bro. I would be in the office and it would just turn on just randomly. Like, the battery would be dead and it would just like
Uh,
turn on and start buzzing. And I was just like, what? What is? And then one day West was in the hallway.
mhm.
She's like, "Hi, Daddy," and I was like, "Who is she talking to?"
Wow.
Because I was in here, she was out here. Like, she wasn't looking at me. She was
Mhm.
talking to something or someone in the
Mhm.
hallway. And the spirit can conjure up a thing, the mind can make a thing up, but I just think he's everywhere, and some of that is because I think we're doing our best to do right by him.
Yeah. I agree. And I think we've done uh really right by him. I think we've showed up as dads. And it's been, a learning process, going through things with, Justin, and being able to sit down with him, have real conversations, and seeing where I
Yeah,
fell short, and then continue to work on that and get better. And
yeah,
the fact that he can acknowledge that and see what I do with Amari and with Maya, that's what
yeah,
makes me happy. And I think
yeah,
what makes him happy is that I was accountable at that time. I wasn't defensive. I wasn't like, no,
yeah,
yeah, what are you talking about? You know what I mean? Like, I didn't, I was
yeah,
just like, I was like, oh shoot, like I didn't even see it through that lens.
yeah,
Um,
yeah,
my fault, right? So let's be better,
mhm,
right?
yeah,
And the circle back about you and I, when I was disappointed that you didn't come to the thing, but we were able to have a conversation about it. And I
yeah,
want people to understand that as well. Like, with people that you love, you can have a disagreement without being disrespectful. You can not agree on all terms, but you can have a good conversation to see perspective.
yeah,
And even after the perspective, you might feel like, damn, I still wanted you there, right? I get,
yeah, yeah,
but that doesn't change what we have, right? I'll
yeah,
always love you. And that's just not something that will change. So I think I want people to understand that, have the conversation, right? Don't walk
yeah,
away from the person you love because you don't want to
yeah,
have the difficult conversation, right?
yeah, yeah,
Or harbor all that in, right? Because when you
yeah.
seem like you got a chip on your shoulder every time.
Yeah, yeah, and like, bro, it's like what you're getting at too is like two things can be true at once. Like,
Yeah.
I can be upset and also understand. I
Mhm.
could forgive you and still be mad. I could, like I don't know if I've told you this, but like there was a moment that shifted my relationship with Ski, and it
Mhm.
was the baby shower, West baby shower, and us being in the old apartment, and Ski be singing. And he was singing, and like we were getting ready to take out like the big group family picture. And he was
Uh,
singing something, and I kind of like made fun of him, and I could see how upset he was.
right.
And he said like, yo, why you always why you hating on me? Why, you know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
Like, let me live or something like that. I was like, damn, bro, okay, my bad.
That was just a joke. I just
You
had a little jokey joke.
know what I'm saying? But then I realized like so much of that is because there was like resentment and frustration I was carrying about
Mhm.
him. And
Mhm.
I hadn't given him either. I
Mhm.
remember, man, bro, like you weren't home. You might not remember this, but like Kelvin had just come home from jail, and I had just came back. Well, not he didn't just come home, but he'd been home for like maybe like a year or so, something
Right.
like that. And I just came back home from Temple after basically being kicked out because I couldn't pay summer school. And I remember me and mommy got into like a little tiff about it. And then he said something. And I was like, bro, you was in jail. Like, you can't tell me anything. You know what I'm saying? Like, but I bring it up because like I
You're
think
like, oh,
about
damn, I should first have
how,
said that.
like, what do you like? I was so frustrated with him because it was, Cullen was just moving really different at that
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
But also when you think about dad, I have to tell mom this all the time. Like, I know Cullen made these decisions, but my brother was in jail for 10 years,
That's
25 to 35. I think about my life at 25 to 35. There was a lot of living that happened.
a lot of
And he lost a lot of that.
Yeah.
A person who didn't know his father.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Like, there's a lot that he had to process. And so Coven has softened over the years. And like, you got to give people time, man. And after that moment, I was like, man, I got to be easy on my brother.
Yeah.
I got to tell him I love him. I got to pour into him because actually that's what he needs.
Yes.
That's what he's asking for.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? As opposed to like trying to, I don't know, being a dick, I think.
Right.
Like I just feel like I was just being a dick because I was just focused on so many other things. And it's like all these relationships matter, but you got to talk to people, And
Yep.
so part of that was me just telling, like, I try to remind him all the time how proud I am of him.
Yeah,
Man.
Yeah.
It's hard.
You could have went back, right? After come out. Like there's many people that get out and then just do the wrong thing and they're back in jail again, right? So
Yeah.
he's been out for forever since he's gotten back and he's not gotten in any trouble. So kudos to our bro. And y'all might think because the way we're talking that sometimes like, oh, are they all cool? Yes, we all cool. We all like we have disagreements like everybody else. But we are a strong brotherhood. And what's the cool thing is how Justin is now injected himself into
It's so weird, man. It's weird to think about.
So it's cool to do that. Okay. Yeah, man. So one of the things that I did want to ask you is I would say when did you first realize storytelling could be a way of healing both for yourself and others?
It probably was when I started seeing the essays take off. I remember there was a moment Diana was working. She had a job. She was working her job. She was still here in the Bronx at the time. And some dude, I remember her telling me some dude had said something crazy to her. Most about she was pregnant. And I was just like, what is, I was like, I can't just go in and punch this dude in the face. So what makes the most sense here? And so I wrote this essay that essentially was like, don't be a fuckboy.
Oh, I remember that. Yes. And that did take off. Yes, I remember.
And that took off and it was really, I don't know if it was surprising, but it was just like an interesting angle that I started to see my career take. And it was like, oh, wait, people are responding to this thing. And granted, the way I write now is way different than that. I think it was very much in my voice, but it didn't have a lot of the prosaic language that I tend to use now. I'm like writing essays. But I saw that and went like, oh, like there's a way that I see the truth that I think relates to people. And so, and then, there was there's different essays that I think about, but like, I think that was a very pivotal moment for me because that was before my TED Talk. And I think that just allowed me to see, like, listen, I'd been doing theater stuff. I've been writing poetry. I've been writing rhymes. I've been recording, been on stage doing all that stuff. But the essays allowed me to like really see people share the work and then also in real time comment, wow, thank you for saying this. Wow, I didn't know Black men were thinking this way. Wow, like all these other things, yo, you should put that on a t-shirt. It was all these things that were happening. And this is before my Instagram blew up. And so it was just really telling for me to see like what the language could do, in that way. It was really, and I think that was a big moment for me. And that was probably like around 2016, I want to say 2016.
I remember that, man. I remember that taking off. And I remember when you were like, at one point was like, yo, man, I'm not doing this Instagram thing no more, man. I feel like, I remember we talked about it and I was just like, nah, just stay with it, man. They're going to catch on, man. And like to see like how big you've gotten on that, not just there, but just everywhere where I see people like reposting your stuff and then they share it. I'm like, that's my brother. They're like, that's your brother? I'm like, yes, that's my brother. Like, and it's cool to see it though. Like, oh shoot, that's dope, man, that he's sharing these stories and like people are gravitating to it, man. And he's
Yeah.
always been a storyteller, like since I think since he was born. Like that's just who you've always been, you know.
Yeah.
So it's good to see like that full circle for you, right? Like you started doing, with the hip hop, we started rapping, we got you in the
Yeah.
studio. But at the core, you've always just been a writer, right? And it's
Right.
so funny that you coming back to just writing, simply writing is open up the doors for you to do whatever you want. Now, if you wanted
Yeah.
to rap
And I
out
think
some
part of
fun
that too. Okay, Wesley, okay, I'm so sorry to hear that. Okay. I don't it's and I think I'd be remiss, bro, to not um also give you your flowers for that too as well. You know what I'm saying? Okay, thank you, Wes. Because the hip hop thing doesn't happen without you. You know what I'm saying? Like, and like what I'll tell people is like it was through osmosis. It was just you playing the music and being so invested in the music. I think a thing we both got from dad, right? In that
Yeah.
way.
Oh yeah.
And that it allowed me the opportunity to like drown in the music almost and like, and it was happening everywhere. It'd be like you putting
Yeah.
up the speakers and then in the window and across the
Yeah.
street they be playing the freestyle music. You know what I'm saying? Like they and you playing L Cool J,
Yeah.
like Battle of Sound
It
Systems.
was it. That's so crazy that we do that. Yeah.
Bruh, and it's like, but like I remember all those things. Like I was watching, and I think that's the thing. Like I was watching you so much, and so
Mm.
you making me record Rap City and video music box for you. That for me, that was fun. It was like, yo,
Shouts to
my
Ralph
brother.
Daniels. Yes.
Yeah,
Oh my
shout out to
goodness.
Ralph
Yeah.
McDaniels. You know what I'm saying? My brother gave me a job to do, so I'm just gonna do it. But like, so much of that was me learning. That was school for me. It was school for me, and so the storytelling is just the evolution of that.
Mm.
Of hip hop, of the Bronx, of Creston. But that starts with you. In that way.
That's dope, man. Hey, Wesley. How you doing? Oh, well, I think you actually answered this. I think, was there a particular piece or moment where you thought this is bigger than art? This is an impact. So I don't know if that was that article or was there something else that you felt like, nah, this is it. Wow, this really moved the needle.
Yeah, I think there's two pieces that come to mind. One piece in particular is essentially the piece that started, um, I think, the journey toward like signing a book deal, and that was the piece that I wrote for Black boys contemplating suicide.
Mm-hmm.
And part of that was like I knew I couldn't write that piece without talking to you first.
Right.
Like and so like having to unpack that trauma, the fear of that, you know, um, and then seeing how it resonated. But that piece is also the piece that got me in touch with the first time I had a real conversation with an agent about
Mm.
making the thing, and that fell through. But that piece, that piece went super viral, and I remember it impacting a lot of folks because we're finally at a point in time where I think a lot more men, especially Black men, are being open about their own childhood
Yeah,
trauma,
yeah.
sexual trauma, emotional trauma, physical trauma, because we've never really had the space to be
Nope.
able to be vulnerable, to be soft, to be open. We think about our dad, and it's like,
Yeah.
there's so much protection that you
Mhm.
have to, there's so much protecting you have to do. You don't really get the chance to just be, right? And
Yeah.
so that essay for me was just a lot of unpacking and being honest with myself. Like, I don't want any of these demons hurting these girls,
Right.
and so having to write those things to do that. I think the other thing, and I mean, both of these essays are in the book, but I think the essay I wrote for the book called Belly is
Hmm.
really important because Belly was, I think, the first time I was just really candid and honest about my body and how much I
Hmm.
didn't like it at the time and what I was struggling with. And also me realizing like the Black male body is a thing to either be loved or like loathed. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Like you're either a super sexy, attractive marsh chestnut, or you're like the butt of the joke because you're a big, fat, Black straight man. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Whatever the case might be. And so part of that is just like the essay for me was an exploration of that.
Right.
And having that for me was just really therapeutic. And it
Yeah.
was like the most honest essay I think I had written. And it also felt like the closest to like the language that I utilize.
Mhm.
But it also made me to that question of like, oh, this is really the power of storytelling, of
Yeah.
just being truthful, to be honest. And then incorporating some of the like rhyme schemes a little
Yeah.
bit in there. Like there's a way for me to write that allows me to do some of the things that I do as an MC and a
Mhm.
poet, but do it in an essay and in a way that feels organic and true to me. And so like that was really revelatory, you know?
Yeah. And I think that's why it resonates with people because it's just authentic, right? We're in a world of where everything is like we're oversaturated with people putting on a show for social media, right? Like they
Mhm,
always say, a lot of
mhm.
times social media is just the highlight reels, right?
Yep.
It's not the work that gets there. It's not everything else that you've gone through. They don't see all that. So when you're vulnerable and authentic, I think that's when people catch on and listen. So
Yeah.
I
No,
agree.
and you know, and like the more we do it, I think, can you take this out? The more we do it, I think the better we all become as a community. You know what I'm
Hmm.
saying? Like the idea that I um I bring this up often. I feel like we might have talked about this, but when I think about Lauryn Hill's Unplugged CD, she talks about exposing her belly button and then someone going like, "Oh, you have a belly button too." Like to me, that is
Yeah.
that is empathy and vulnerability at its finest. It's like, oh, there's a shared experience that
Hmm.
I didn't know existed until we both said the truth about what we are going through and who we are. You
Right.
know, and that to me, that's magical, bro. And like the way that really can happen is that you're welcome, baby. Is I think through storytelling. There are other ways to do it, but for me, I've seen the most profound experience happen when people are sharing stories that have a commonality with each other, because then it exposes a lot of what we're afraid of. And then we get to say, oh, we're both scared about the same thing.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's true. And I think that's why storytelling is powerful because it's like when you watch a movie, right? That resonates, right? The same way. Like if someone's telling a story and you just like hooked on the story and you're listening, you're just like, oh wow, this guy's just like me. Or like he's going through these things and this is how he's navigated life, right? And then it gives you a process and a way to get through things. And also I think that's dope, man.
Yeah. And you know, not everyone is going to be a poet or an essayist or a public speaker. You
Hmm.
know, I think, you know this. I've been recording mom. Your mom is such a storyteller. You know, like we come from a lineage and not just us as like Warrington Daniels, but just as like black folks, right?
Right.
Black people, Caribbean people, a long history and lineage of like storytellers.
Hmm.
And I think like even you starting this podcast is carrying in that tradition, right? Because it's not just a vehicle, but it also becomes an archive,
Yep.
like a living archive of stories. And like, especially now under this administration, that matters more than ever, you
Yep.
know?
Yeah. And that's really a part of the reason why I did it. Like I um want my kids to be able to go back. They want to look back and hear their pop speak about something, and talk and hopefully get some nuggets and some gems from me and the people that I talk to. Then that's great, man. Like that's something that outlives me, long outlives me. And they can show, when I'm not here, they have, grandkids, whatever, like they can see who I am, and I think that was important to me, man. Everything else was just like, like, yeah, I do want the things, right? I do want to buy stuff. I do want to live a good life, but the purpose, right, more than anything is them. Like they are everything for me. Like, and I want them to be proud of me and who I am and what I've left behind. That's what I want, right? I want my
Yeah.
wife to be proud of me. I want mom to be proud of me. I want you to be proud of me. I want my kids. That is it for me, right? Because all the outside noise is just that. It's just noise, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Bro, it's noise. And I think, I mean, and like you already know, I'm proud of you, man. Like it's what I've loved seeing is like this process of self-discovery for you. Like bro, I recognize how privileged and lucky I am. Like I don't think you can predict when you find your thing.
No.
Like I knew my thing
Yeah.
really early, bro. Like I was in mommy's room drawing, writing,
Hmm.
like
Yep.
making album covers. Like I didn't know I was gonna be like make music and act
Right.
and stuff. That's all I was doing. And so much of that was because of circumstance, because y'all was so much older than me. I didn't really have like Lila and Wes play with each other.
Hmm.
I didn't
Yeah.
have
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
we would play video games, but you won't let me do that when I got old enough and I wasn't gonna break anything. But so a lot of it was me creating essentially mom's room was the lab. Like I
Hmm.
was experimenting with a lot of different things. And so I knew really early on, like, okay, poetry. All right, I was writing poems for like Rasheen to give the girls in second grade. You know what I'm saying? Like it was I was doing it way early. And then I remember just you starting the clothing brand, and then like you like, yo, I think I want to take DJing a little bit more seriously now. And like there were all these ways of you trying to find like yourself and like
Yeah.
give yourself the room and space to just like, yo, I'm more than just a dad and a husband and a friend, right? And like, okay, so we're gonna do rings up. We're gonna try this. We're
Yeah.
gonna like just throwing things to the wall. And like that's been the thing that's been most exciting for me. Like even with the podcast, it's just like you just saying yes. I'm like, all right, let's just try it. It's the thing
Yeah.
I tell my mentees, like, yo, you have to, people ask me how I do a thing, and I'm like, I just try stuff.
Just try it, right? just try
Like
it.
I just try stuff, and I try stuff that feels like resonant. Like if I
Yeah.
feel it, I did like, oh, this is a thing I probably should do, then I
Yeah.
do it. You know, like, and that's been the key for me of just like, okay, just lean in.
No, I agree.
And you've been
Uh,
leaning in. It's really dope to see.
Thank you, brother. You know,
Yeah.
I'm just, I try not to use the word try, but you know, I am just doing the thing, right? Like you said,
Yeah.
I'm just not looking for perfection. And I think that's what full start a lot of stuff, right? Like it has to be perfect. You know, when I do
Yep.
the video, it has to be perfect. This has to
Yep.
be perfect.
Yeah.
And then if you're constantly waiting for the perfect moment, then you never get to the moment. You just don't do it, right? So now
Yeah.
it's just like, okay, it doesn't have to be perfect, but I do have to prepare, right? That's what I tell myself, like
Yeah,
prepare
man.
and then put it out, right? And
Yeah.
that's what I did with this podcast. I think I slowed down and I prepared and then I put it out. And then once I did that, and I got good feedback, you know, just from the initial first episode, I was like, okay, this is good. And what I told myself was, even if it was 3 people that watched it, right? But those 3 people, it resonated and they changed something in their life and they told another person and it helped them, then the job was done, right? That's what it is. It's not chasing, I need 1 million views, I need this, I need that. It's how is the work that I'm doing resonating with one person? That's it. Let it resonate with one person. And if I can do that, I'm good.
Yeah, like, and bro, like you nailed it. I think it's like that's the trap. The trap is we equate our value to like the number of
Mhm.
people or the number of sponsors or the number of dollars. And like again, capitalism has done a number on us where, and I mean, that's a whole nother conversation about
Yeah. Yeah. Whole nother podcast.
bro, and like white supremacy
Right.
and what that means to like how we think about achievement
Mm-hmm.
and success. And so to your point earlier, like success for me is the girls being healthy and happy. You know what I'm saying? Like I wrote a book, you know, and part of me writing the book, kind of
Crazy.
getting back to what you were also talking about earlier, like with you in this podcast, it's like, and it's the writing the book, it's the making of the songs. There's a reason why I call mommy out, or I call Ski out, or I call dad out, or I call you out, is because it's a living testament of your existence. And so even when I
Yeah.
look at the book, when I'm talking about Buster Brown and I'm talking about
It's a
the
drive.
pizza shop
Wow.
in the corner store and Petland, and
Yeah.
like when we're gone and these artifacts and these places are gone, they at least someone could pick up this book 40 years from now
Mm-hmm.
and go, oh, I didn't know what's Woolworth.
Yeah.
You know what I'm
What's
saying?
Woolworth?
What's Alexander's? Things don't exist anymore. These
They
are
don't
relics,
exist.
but they exist.
Crazy.
They exist in our memory. But then
Yeah.
when we go, who carries on to the tradition of the memory? So
Yeah.
even to your point, the podcast being an archive, me recording mom, it's just me having it. I'm not gonna do anything with those things. Like
Right.
I honestly, the plan is for me to just put these things on CD. What
Yeah.
I've been doing a lot more now is, in like, I'm not telling people. Well, I'm telling them now, but they're not gonna know I'm doing it. I just be recording conversations,
Yeah.
people, just because it's like I want there to be an archive of these voices, of these human beings who I care about, and just having them exist. And I don't know what that means, but it's the stories die, you know, if we're losing recipes because we're not sharing
Yeah.
our stories. And so for me, again, like there's the beauty in you doing this, and there's the beauty in writing the book. There's the beauty in keeping the journal. There's the beauty in just like recording each other,
Mm-hmm.
you know, like the living archive. Because when we look back at those old episodes of Soul Train, someone taped those,
Yeah.
right? Like if someone is not archiving those things, then the history is no longer history. It's just gone.
Nope. Yeah. It's just gone. Yeah. You're
Yeah.
absolutely right, man. So I'm glad that, you know, we're doing these things. And yeah, man, when you wrote this book, man, it was just like, yo, my brother actually is off look like this. Like, yo, this is like, hard cover, baby. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
this is legit. Like, man, it makes me proud, man. It's like, and I always tell you how proud I am of you, right? I always say how much I love you, and I do that with my kids. I do that with everybody I love because
Yeah.
you just don't know, right? Like,
Yep.
and I don't want my last interaction to ever be questioned. Like, damn, does D love me or is he proud of me? So I do the same thing with Justin. You know, I
Yeah.
love you. I'm proud of him. Super proud of that kid, man. Yeah, just proud. I'm just proud of him too, man. Like, it's been a great doing this, him supporting me on it too. Like, just, happy that I'm doing the thing, and seeing
Yeah.
his love behind it is
Yeah.
awesome as well. So I think Dad is super proud of who we are, who we've become, how
Yeah.
we're handling his legacy,
Yeah.
pushing his name forward, in such a positive way. And then finding out, remember, I like that he was such a badass in the military as well, which was, I was like, yeah, the medals and everything. I was just like,
Yeah.
whoa, yo, he was
Yeah.
really out there. Not that I want him to have to do what he had to,
No. Yeah.
but it was
Yeah.
like, yo, he was good at what he did, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah. Yeah, man. He was. And it's and then you come back to in your mentions, you come back to the States, bro. And it's like,
And that
there's
mattered.
none of it
None of that
mattered.
mattered.
None of it mattered. And so I think when we think about legacy, it's like, what do you value? What do you value? Who do you value? And not folk. You said it, bro. The noise.
Yeah,
So much of it is noise. It's just like at the end of the day, it's like how are you taking care of your family?
right.
How are you taking care of yourself, your people,
Yeah,
your community?
yeah. And that's what you've been doing. That's how you've been showing up. So,
I think.
I got one more thing for you, and it's just like, when you hear the term "leave it better," like, what does it mean to you? How does it resonate to you?
Mm, I mean, when I hear "leave it better," what I think about is I think about safety.
Mm,
I do pride myself on leaving spaces better in that way. Like I want every space I enter to be better than it was before I entered.
yeah,
And this joy that I find in that, because I think I'm really intentional about how I show up in the
yep,
world and the ability to and the opportunity I've been given to show up in the world in these ways, the privilege. Leaving it better to me means we also get to expand on something.
hmm,
It doesn't mean that the thing was bad, you know what I'm saying? But it means that there's an energy that we can bring into a space that allows us to see what is happening in a room
right,
and target the energies that are like the energy required in order to enhance the experience for yourself and others in
right.
this space.
No, I love that. I love that. And the last thing is just tell people how to get in contact with you. Next things that you're doing where they can go see you or hear you. If you can share that stuff.
Yeah, bro. I mean, I'm not hard to find. I mean, I'm not necessarily like on a Instagram hiatus, but I am taking a bit more of a back seat as I focus primarily on in real life
Yeah.
community organizing and conversations. But I do have a performance in support of Gaza happening on November 1st in Brooklyn.
Nice.
Um, there's going to be a panel I'm participating in for like new businesses in Brooklyn on the 7th of November. All that information is available on the Instagram. So I am Joél, Joel. And there, you can find podcast episodes, essays, link to the book, the audio
Mhm.
book, the albums, all that
Yes.
stuff.
Link to
But
the book.
right now, bro, just just the things that are coming up are just, taking care of the girls,
Yeah.
getting the crib ready for mom tomorrow.
Yeah. That's good.
Like
So, no,
life shit, man. Life
life
shit.
shit, right?
Life shit, bro.
Right.
Yeah,
Life shit. Man, I'm going to see mom after this podcast to help
yeah,
out with
yeah,
some
yeah.
stuff. But
Yeah, man.
yeah, it's been great talking to you, Broham. Like, uh, we could probably sit and record for like the next couple hours if we really wanted to.
Absolutely.
So I will spare the viewers, a 3 hour podcast, but we could easily do a 3 hour podcast. I'm telling
Yeah,
you guys right
absolutely.
now. So
Absolutely.
I just wanted to share, not that the world has not seen you in already, but I wanted to share you with the world as well, with my world, with the people that maybe do not know you and how
Yeah.
great you are, how dope you are, and how you show up. So yeah, man, I'm proud of you, man. Like, I'm proud of you, man. I'm proud, proud, proud. to be your brother, man. I'm proud
Same.
to see the evolution, your growth, like
Thank
how
you,
you
bro.
figured out, your writing style, your voice, when you were trying to
Yeah.
figure that part out. So, you
Yeah.
know, just wanted to say I was proud of you for sticking with it, right? When
Yeah.
sometimes you may have not wanted to, like when it felt like everything was going against you and like you weren't getting the breakthrough, like you've seen people you were coming up with maybe breaking out and becoming artists and doing their
Yeah.
thing, like
Yeah.
and I think a tour, like how he's doing the thing, like, and
Yeah.
I'm gonna interview Tor as well. But
Hey.
yeah, that should be dope. And
Very dope.
like I'm not gonna get into his story, but it's just cool to see that evolution,
Yeah.
right? And
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
just think about how you might have saw that and like, dang, he's taking off. Like, so what's
Yeah.
going on with me? I'm writing, I'm doing this thing, right?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay, again, I'm getting off track. We're about to talk about another hour, but again, just to say that I'm proud of you, man, that you stuck with
Thank
it and it's turned into what it's turned into. So I love you,
Thank
man.
you, bro. And like, and I love you, bro. I love you so much, man. And I mean, it doesn't happen. It doesn't happen in a vacuum. It doesn't happen in a silo. It happens with community. So much of that is attributed to folks who believed in me, who put the battery in my back when I needed it. And then also too, like, when we talk about a tour, and we talk about grief, right?
Yeah,
And all the ways that he's been processing that. And then I think too,
yeah,
expansion like, for you. You know what I'm saying? I think you're seeing this evolution, this really beautiful evolution. I wish more of us were kind of evolving in this way, but it's evolution of these Black men who are saying
hmm
I'm not just this.
yeah,
Like, I mean, like you say tour, I think of Shy Stimuli and like
yeah,
Shy, you know what I mean? Like there's these dudes who I came in with, you know what I'm saying, who
yeah,
maybe and had a pedigree before I did, to be
hmm
honest. But the idea of seeing folks expand into these other areas of interest and skill sets, it's just been beautiful, man.
yeah,
And like, because we don't got a lot of time here, man. So it's like the more we can just lean into the truth of who we are and who we want to be and not be afraid of that, man, the
yeah.
better we all are in
I
that way.
totally agree. Totally
Yeah.
agree. All right. And as I say on the end of each episode is make sure when you leave it better.
Hey,
Hey, Wessie.
what do you do?
Thank you for listening to Leave It Better. I'm Dwain Daniels, and my hope is that today's conversation gave you a little more peace, a little more hope, and a reminder that how we show up still matters. If this episode spoke to you, please share it with someone who might need it. And remember, when you leave it better.